Let them eat cake. What can we learn from that phrase? G'day, and welcome to Small Steps Through Life. Today we're at Battle Hill, and it's raining lightly here. And it's freezing. And that's okay. It's still beautiful here under the trees. And today I'm looking at the idea of Marie Antoinette's famous saying, let them eat cake. What's wrong with that statement? It sounds harmless. Cake's nice. Certain cakes are even nicer. Good carrot cake gets a rabbit's seal of approval, and it gets mine. But what went wrong for her? What went wrong when Marie Antoinette said it? Well, it turns out that the majority of the populace was starving. They didn't have bread, let alone cake. All it did was infuriate them. They were starving and they rebelled. And what I look at is I look at Marie Antoinette's position as being the first example of somebody dropping below the Antoinette line. I define the Antoinette line as the line at which when things drop below it, bad things happen. Rebellions happen. It's when the cost of staying is worse than the cost of leaving, when the cost of continuing with the situation is worse than the cost of taking an opposing view. In this case, it was rebellion. The people were starving, they had nothing to lose. So they rebelled. Because if you're starving, what else do you do? And at the moment, a lot of people in the world are approaching the Antoinette line. They're finding it hard to put bread on the table. It's becoming more and more of a challenge. And it's not that they don't want to work, it's that finding work is becoming more of a challenge. Or it could be that they're finding that their benefits are now so close to the cost of living because of inflation that they're having trouble making ends meet. They are approaching their own Antoinette line. And there will always be people that are approaching it. It's when there's too many people that problems ensue. This affects government, and so what they tend to do is try and keep the majority of people above that magic line. If the majority drop below, then all sorts of bad things happen. Civil unrest, riots, and the like. But it's not just governments that need to watch out for this. If you're running a business and your customers perceive the service they're getting drops below their own Antoinette line, then they're going to leave. And if it went badly, they're going to leave, and there's going to be other side effects, like it might be leaving bad reviews, sharing with others the bad results they got. And as I said, it will happen occasionally that there will be people that you just can't please. But if you find that there are a number of customers that are dropping below the Antoinette line gets too high, it means you've done something wrong with your business model. You need to keep what you're offering above the Antoinette line, going as high as you can while still maintaining the ability to run as a business. It's a challenge. Drop too far and you lose everything. Go too high and you may not be able to make enough profit to stay in business. But what else does it impact? Relationships. Relationships are also very vulnerable to the Antoinette line. If a relationship starts getting rocky, okay, if it's above the Antoinette line, there's still incentive to try and fix it. There's motivation to make things better. It's worth the effort at that point to try. But as soon as you drop below that line, as soon as it's cheaper to leave, cheaper emotionally, financially, however, as soon as it's cheaper to leave than it is to stay, if staying is more expensive from a psychological point of view, from an emotional point of view, then you've dropped below that line and the relationship is in deep trouble. The likely outcome is it will break down. So what do? Recognize the other person's Antoinette line and aim to stay above it. The further above it you stay, the more wiggle room you have. The more you can try new things, knowing that even if things go slightly wrong, you're staying in that really great buffer zone above the Antoinette line. Don't just sit just above it, because if you do, you're risking all on things staying smooth. So it's interesting because you get to choose what you offer. If you want to offer more, that's in your power. You get to choose how much you offer. But make sure it aligns with what they're seeking. Antoinette Line is a very powerful tool to keep people satisfied, and a very dangerous line to drop below. But what do you do about things that you don't control? Like, you don't control most of us don't control the economy. So what do? What we can do is take all the steps we can, recognize the things we can change. Maybe it's plant a garden. Maybe it's choose the services we subscribe to. Maybe it's turning off a light, dropping the temperature a degree. There's all sorts of things that we can do to help our position. But once you've done all those things and you've exhausted all opportunities and options, and there is nothing else, then for your peace of mind, having taken those actions, maybe write them down. Own that position in the sense of understand it, and then put it aside. Focusing on something you can't change is a way to lose traction in the rest of life. You're not saying it doesn't matter. What you're saying is you've done the things you can. You're understanding what's going on, and you've taken all the actions you can. And now you're going to focus on the things you can change. So maybe you're going to have to tighten your belt. But maybe at the same time as that, you can focus on what can you do in your relationships. Because just because one area is dropping below the line doesn't mean all areas. So you still get to choose where you focus your effort. You get to choose where you take your steps in life. You get to choose your journey. So choose a journey that you are liking the direction of. Choose one that you get to exercise being the best version of you. And on that note, I'm going to say, see you later.